Hi, Aries. For December here, 2024, I have pulled a card of for the energy that you can expect this month or in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Actually, I got a late start on December's readings. And then I have another card of energy to let go of and energy to embrace. And then I pulled an oracle card also. So I hope this helps in some way. Your card for the month that you can expect is the King of Wands. Now, this is a fun energy because it is your energy. The King of Wands is a fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It is a fiery leadership kind of energy. This is embodied by, or this king embodies leadership in that he has a lot of determination, a lot of foresight. He is looking out for everyone. He's a planner. He's a strategist. And in this case, this king is looking toward the past. And what I'm really noticing is his throne behind him looks to me like a ruler. So I don't know if you're spending a little bit of time reflecting in toward this year end, which wouldn't surprise me because we tend to all take a little bit of a break after the holidays and do that. Look back at the year, look back at a project, and measure yourself. I don't know if you've spent a lot of time measuring your success or where you're at against some other expectation or what other people are doing. This king is in the upright, so I don't think it's necessarily an unhealthy thing, but it does look like maybe you are doing some evaluation, possibly to plan for the future. So it just, that kind of makes sense. Now, even though this is a king, we all embody both masculine and feminine of every suit. So the gender has nothing to do with this. There are all moments that we step into a more masculine leadership energy. So wherever in your life that you feel like you have taken charge or will be taking charge or something is in your control, you could be finding yourself like, as you lead, as you set the plan, evaluating the past. Now, something that you need to let go of is the Lover's card, and it's in reverse. Lover's energy is, this card represents Gemini energy, but the larger implication of this card has to do with the choices that we make. It can be about love relationships, but it doesn't have to be, even though that's the name of the card. What it does is it's a choice, and it does represent relationships. The choice of who we are around, whether or not it's our primary partnerships or our friend groups or where we spend the most time. I love this card for its depth in that it has to do with that idea that you are who you hang around. You are the choices of people you hang around. And that is said in so many ways in our culture, that we're the result of the 5 people we hang around the most, like attracts like that. So there may be something in terms of letting go. I'm really feeling like there may have been a friendship or a love affair or someone that you in the past have chosen to be around, but that is no longer like satisfying. It's no longer making you happy. It's bad for your health. In fact, whether it's your mental health or there's something that possibly in the past brought happiness but doesn't anymore, that's what you need to let go of. And moving forward, planning that way, this is how it's looking on my table. Looking back at the past choices we've made and things that didn't bring happiness, whether they were people or choice of project, choice of, whatever we're doing that affects our environment and who we are and the energy we take in daily. That's what we need to let go of, are those things that don't serve our higher good, right? And that's pretty big. The fact that the Lovers is there is a major arcana. So it could be a very prominent friendship or relationship or workplace or something. It could have been a big thing that you used to say yes to that you should probably let go of now because it has not worked out. Now, conversely, it could be something that you have turned down in the past and now you need to let it go. If you already made a choice, a while ago, then you could find yourself like hanging on to something, at least mentally or in your heart space, and now it's time to let it go if something is routinely not making you happy. Now, something that you should hang on to or embrace moving into 2025 is the Five of Pentacles in reverse. I love this card in reverse. Upright, this card indicates a lack. And it is a pentacle card, so it could talk about just feeling broke, not having enough money, not knowing there is help around. If you're feeling lack and you're in some kind of conflict when it comes to your resources, it's about, not when it's in the upright, it's about not seeing the help that's available. These people are very focused on their issues. They're passing right by what would be warmth and security and help. When this is in reverse, it is literally coming in from out of the cold. All right. This is getting your money in a better spot, feeling less lack when it comes to time or money or resources. And if it's on an interpersonal level, it has to do with coming in from out of the cold. So in the past, if you've made choices that have left you feeling sad or lonely or unhappy, you can evaluate that and decide, as the King of Wands, making decisions to change that moving forward. Bring yourself in from out of the cold. Rejoin groups that maybe you didn't know before. This is like finding your people. And they were there. You just were so focused on the negative that maybe you were ignoring the things that would make you feel better. And sometimes we get like that. But I like that this is a very empowering spread in that it puts the power to fix your life in your hands by evaluating what isn't working for you, who isn't working for you, and recognizing then what does. Where do I fit in? If I stick to my budget, I will have more money. And all of those things are within your control in this spread, at least moving into this end of the year. So I really like that. Very empowering to take a few minutes and evaluate like that. Now, the Oracle card that I pulled is exchanging gifts. This card, it would be in some ways the equivalent of the Six of Pentacles in the tarot deck. And that has to do with like an equal and balanced give and take. We all have gifts in this life. We all have things to offer. And when we exchange those with other people, we want to make sure that it's an equal exchange. You don't want to be the one always giving in a relationship. You don't want to be the one that's always depleted or not getting back what it is you give. So it matches your spread exactly in that moving forward. I mean, she's coming out of a gift. So I think it would be like saying giving yourself a gift of being more discerning and more choosy with who you exchange energy with, who you spend your time talking to, who you spend your time paying attention to, who do you give money to. It could be something very simple. Like some of this would be like, say your budget, you're looking over your budget. And one element of your budgeting has to do with streaming services. And you realize you've been paying for streaming services that you're not using. So it's an unequal give and take. You're paying, but you're not using that service. So this is a great time to evaluate that and make changes, and that will help your budget. And the same goes with people. Currency is currency. And the resource cards of the Pentacle suit, or the gift here, that's talking about a tangible thing. That's time and money and your attention, all of those things, your vitality, all of those things affect our material world. They are the life that we're living. So rather than beat this into the ground anymore, all of this is just saying, evaluate who you're around, what you're giving attention to, what you've chosen in the past or didn't choose, but are still hanging on to. Take that evaluation and then flip that. Be more discerning, be more conscious of the choices of what you're giving, where you're giving it to. That's a really great thing moving into January to bolster your own confidence in the power you have in your life, but to change your life and to direct it. So I like that. He is a director energy, and this is taking charge. So it's no longer accepting things that are unfair. It's no longer just kind of floating along. It's really stepping up and taking charge of that. And that is very Aries energy. So it should be an energy that you're pretty familiar with already. And so I hope that helps. And I hope it gives you a really great ending to this year, and something useful to work on going into 2025. Thanks. Hi, Taurus. The card that I pulled for your overall energy for the rest of this month into 2025, probably for the next 2 to 4 weeks, is the Empress energy. This is fun because this is your energy. I usually see her as Aries and Taurus energy in general, really near the beginning of the tarot deck. I love the Empress card in general. I just like this energy. If you're a masculine watching this, it may be we can all be all these energies, but it also could be you are encountering someone around you like this. She is a maternal figure, but it doesn't necessarily speak to being a mom or your own mom or anything like that. It's all the 4 queens combined. So it's having all of the components working together really well to the point that there's great ease in being authentic. Things come to you when you are sitting in your own authenticity. You don't have to try that hard. It's Mother Nature in a way with this card where things just work. And she's usually seen as pregnant in the card because that symbolizes fertility and growth and birth of things. And this can be a card of really high creativity, inspiration, being very inspired. It can also be a card of self-care and taking good care to nurture your own self and spirit. And that allows so much of that energy to permeate the area for everyone. So it sets a good example. But I hear today with this card, ease. Like things shouldn't have to be so hard. When you're being really authentic, you don't have to try to put up a front. Things just happen, and so there's the word that I would say goes with this card for the month of December is allowing. It's not forcing. So something that you should let go of now toward the end of the year in energy is the Queen of Wands. And normally this would be such an unusual energy to say let go of, because the Queen of Wands is magic. I mean, she's awesome. She's determined and fiery, and she is a card of action and doing. She's always forward thinking. If you can see, she's looking ahead. She's looking at the best for everyone and how to create that. But there's a fire within her. Like she is the queen of fire. So that's Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy. That really gets things done, makes things happen. People usually wonder how in the world she gets so much stuff done. That's where the magic comes from with the little black cat, right? What you see outwardly with the Queen of Wands is mystifying sometimes. So for this to be in the position of like outdated energy, what to let go of, it simply means putting down the idea that you have to do so much. And that makes so much sense with this card coming up as the energy that you can expect. They're very similar. In fact, I said the Empress is all 4 queens put together, so she definitely is part of the Empress. But what this reading is asking of you is to put down the doing part and be more of the allowing part. And sometimes the Queen of Wands, she's in the upright here, so this isn't a negative. But this is someone who, well, she generally looks really great. She's a very attractive energy. And sometimes that can have to do with like makeup and hair and having the right clothes and the image that we project. And the Empress is asking us to just be more authentic, right? To not try so hard. We don't have to work this hard. It's much more about, and when you do that, you level up, right? It's easy to be yourself when you're not trying to be something else. Or it's easy to allow things to happen when you have faith that you're going to be taken care of. You don't have as much striving. That's the difference here. Let go of having to do and simply allow a little more right now, at least for the next couple of weeks. The thing to embrace is the 3 of Swords in reverse. Upright, this card represents the heartbreak card of the tarot deck. It's the disappointment. Often it's the thoughts that we have around it because it is a swords energy. And every time we think of a hurt that we've had, we like stab our own heart again. We don't release those thoughts. And so we're routinely hurt by things that have already happened. When in the big picture, this is a 3. So yes, it is present, but it's a 3. It's not, and that's fairly, I don't want to say insignificant because it isn't. No hurt is insignificant, but it didn't stop us all the way. Our heart is still beating. And so for this to be in the near future in position, like coming up of what we need to embrace, when this card is reversed, we release those thoughts. When this is upside down, the swords can actually fall out of the heart, right? And swords represent our thoughts and how we talk. So if you have a certain story that you tell over and over about how sad your life is or a disappointment that happened in your life, stop talking about it. Let that go. And we release those past disappointments that may involve us trying very hard, and simply allow things to become more easy when we're more authentic and we're not trying so hard. We let this go. We quit striving to overcome something, and we just be. That's probably like the nature of this card. It's just be. This is what I'm getting from the spread. The oracle card that came is milk and honey. And it's funny, there isn't another oracle card in that deck more like the Empress than milk and honey. They both mean the same thing almost. Milk and honey is you see the promise of the rainbow there? This is faith that things are going to be okay. This is taking good care of yourself, knowing that you're cared for. You can relax and be more of your authentic self. Lean into your faith that things are going to be all right. You don't have to strive to make sure everything happens and constantly be disappointed. This is trust in yourself, trust in, God and in the universe, and relax and take good care of yourself. And there is a receptive quality to both the Empress and the milk and honey card that say, open up yourself to receive what you need. Like it's not having to go out and conquer it. It's just receiving that peace, okay, and care and giving it to yourself in an easy way by knowing things are going to be taken care of. This spread really, really reminds me of some of you might be mothers, actually, and you may have been very active in being a mom, right? Or a creator of any kind, where you have put so much energy and work in, and certain time periods call for that. Like there's nothing wrong with Queen of Wands energy. It's actually really great energy. But right now, the cards here are calling for you to know that you've done enough that you can actually sit back and receive for all that work that you've put in. It's time to let go of grudges, let go of disappointments, and just take care of yourself right now. That is a very authentic way to invite more faith into your life, more abundance into your life, more inspiration into your life. It's not trying so hard. So take good care of yourself. And if you are a man watching this and this doesn't resonate with your energy exactly, if you know of someone around you that has been working really hard, encourage that person to, take good care of themselves and to receive some of the abundance they've worked so hard for, because it's there and it's when they're in their most natural position. And it's really time for a new start into an almost level up. Go from the Queen to the Empress is a level up. And it feels like, you've kind of arrived. So I love that. It's a great message. And I hope that finds you well here at the end of the year. Okay, Gemini, I have your cards here. And this is a very sweet and hopeful message. I'm really happy to read this for you for the end of the year here. The card that I pulled of what you can an energy that you can expect is the Three of Wands in reverse. Normally upright, this would be a card of expectation. like you put in a certain amount of work and then you sit back and wait for that effort to pay off, or wait for a contribution for someone else. Quite literally, most readers say this is the waiting for your ships to come in card, right? Each wand represents a certain amount of effort that you've put into a situation, and now you can expect, with the yellow coloring, that is high expectations and optimism. You can expect those ships coming in, to bring you the other components that you need to create stability. When this is in reverse, it depending on how it falls in a spread, I mean, it's still yellow to me, so it still has a certain level of optimism, or not even optimism, but like positivity about it. However, sometimes it can represent like thinking things aren't going to come in. However, here, kind of what I'm feeling is like I want to say kind of an independence of sort, meaning your stability, what you're wanting, isn't dependent on the work that you put in. So it's more of a gift in a way. It's coming maybe even without you knowing. I mean, it is a minor arcana card, so it's not like a huge thing that's showing up. It's much more muted than that, much more subtle, but it does feel like some kind of gift, in that you don't have to put effort in the same way that you have been. Now, it could be something like, you are quitting a job, or you have had a certain part of your responsibilities taken. I mean, my husband is a Gemini and he's retiring, so that kind of makes sense, right? But in a way, it's an odd card to come up as an energy to expect, because basically you don't have to do anything, and you already either have something arriving, or you may have a sense of feeling like you have a gift, feeling like you have it all, feeling like you have what you need, without really having to put that heavy lifting into it. Now, the thing you need to leave behind is more of a striving energy, but it's kind of like striving for no purpose. This could be a lot of things. Normally, the Five of Wands is a conflict energy. Doesn't always have to be like an argument. It's just people operating on their own agenda. It's kind of a futile energy of wasted time and energy. I always joke that this card represents, like, say we were all going to build a barn and everyone grabs their plank and nobody has the instructions, and we all think we know how it goes, and that barn's never going to get built. So until there is order brought to that situation, it's kind of wasted energy. It can be a card of like drama, or dealing with other people and their own agendas, and all of the way they want things done and what they're hopeful for. And that's what we leave behind, is that kind of conflict. And putting that down, and maybe you're looking for cooperation for somebody else, or you have been, or maybe you're expecting, things have not paid off, it's just a lot of wasted time. However, here you have no expectation. Like, if you're not putting effort in here at the end of the year, then you can't, I don't want to say you can't be disappointed, because I think it goes the other way. I think you recognize there is a gift in a situation without you having to do anything. So let go of the need to fight for the thing that you want, fight for your place, and receive things without having to put a lot of effort in. Okay? At least not the same kind of effort. Now, the thing to embrace is the Eight of Cups. This is quite simply walking away from emotional situations that don't serve you anymore. It's understanding them. He's not stomping off mad. He has taken the time to set up all of those cups, all of those situations, all of his emotions around a topic, and he's put them carefully up, right? He's examined them and carefully stacked them up. So he's aware of who he is, where he comes from, right? And all the situations that he has dealt with in the past. And he chooses to set off looking for the Two of Cups. That's what's left over. And the Two of Cups is the partnership card of the deck. It's emotionally someone that matches you on that level. And he has to set off to find that by the light of the moon, which represents, it's nothing he can do to find it. It's a much more subconscious thing. It's a feeling thing. He has to feel his way through this next situation, to that partnership. What feels good, to find your match, it's a different kind of energy, and it's leaving. Really simply, I'm really making this more complicated because this is just simply saying you can put down the striving, you can put down the being in conflict with people who have different agendas, that you don't have to do anything, that the right match will come and find you, and it's a gift. Like, that is something that you may not expect, is emotional fulfillment when you leave behind things that are not fulfilling. When you seek out that kind of emotional match, it's there. And I like that. Embrace that. Okay. Embrace the more feeling side of your nature, at least here toward the end of the year. The oracle card that came out for this is blessed. And this is a card 22. And I love that. The 22 number is one of the master numbers in numerology. And they all kind of have a little bit different flavor. But they do represent mastery over things like teaching and our spiritual belief system. And mastery over ourselves in a way, to a degree that we can teach it to someone else. And we can build from that. So it's understanding with... Anyway, I love that it's a 22. The blessed card has to do with gratitude and humility and understanding that life is a gift. What you have is a gift. That the best things in life you don't have to strive to get. That we are just... It's loving what you have and feeling it. Not just saying, oh, I'm grateful for this, but feeling really grateful for it, feeling like I'm so lucky to have this. It's coming from a heart space of gratitude instead of a doing space where it feels like an accomplishment. So, and in this card, she is looking backwards. So there may be a cycle that's wrapping up that you used to be involved in that you're no longer involved in, whether or not it's a relationship or a work situation or dealing with other people or being conflicted in your emotions about something. No, this is understanding exactly how much you have and how lucky you are to have it. And I don't know why, the humility part of this card is coming up. It may be a time to step back into your humility a little bit and just be grateful for what you have. I think it's positive. I think this is a sweet little reading. It's going to lead you to the thing that is a match to you. When you come from much more of a heart space than you do a striving space. Like, look what I can do. And I can wrestle this. There's sometimes with success or gifts or things that we have in our life, we have to go out and work for them. And sometimes it can get very competitive. This card can be a card of competition. And really, the thing that is meant for you, you don't have to compete. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase, that nothing meant for you will pass you by. But that's the energy that you may find yourself in, is that you have everything you want, and it feels like a gift. Or maybe you do have something come out of the blue that you didn't compete for, that you didn't put the work in for. And it's humbling. It's humbling to get things when you are in the mindset that we have to compete for it or we have to work for it. And then it just comes. It's a humbling energy. And it was just meant for you. That could be a partnership. That could be a friendship. That could be something really solid. I don't see like money cards on the table, but it could be a monetary gift or a tangible thing. I just really like it. I think there's going to be a moment that, or more than one, and that makes sense with the holidays coming up, but it could be a lot more than just holiday stuff, of embracing how lucky you really are. And that attitude alone always, always, always opens the door for good things. And you don't have to work for it. You don't have to do a single thing except just be grateful and feel blessed for what you do have. And if that is your message, then I kind of love that, because I foresee something coming in that surprises you. I don't have surprises on the table. However, it wouldn't be much of a surprise if I pulled a tarot card about it. So tarot's very funny that way. And in that way, it's got a great sense of humor in that it's not going to let me blow any big surprise, but it does it does give you a pathway forward to get something really good by acknowledging how good you have it already. And anyway, I hope that helps. Interesting and kind of cool. So I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, Cancer, I have a very specific message for you. I will go into the cards, but it's really cut and dry here. The card of energy that you can expect for this end of December into January is the Five of Pentacles in reverse. I've had a lot of fives come out in the readings, especially for pulling only a couple of cards. And that's really great because fives represent conflict, and most of the cards I've pulled are in reverse, which means a lot of us are coming out of conflict. Now, in the Pentacle realm, the Five of Coins represents either, it's a lack energy. You're either feeling very broke money-wise or feeling like you're missing something. You feel like you could not have the thing that would fix you. Could be people even. You could be feeling very left out or have been. When it's in reverse, though, it's recognizing, it's very specific. These people are very focused on their ailments, and it's keeping them out in the cold, right? They're their heads down. They are focused on how bad they've got it, and they're passing right by of the sanctuary behind them where there is warmth and probably food and shelter, and light, right? There are pentacles in the window. They're representing that there are resources right there. So when it's in reverse, you're recognizing that there is help. It's allowing help. Okay. And that helps you come out of that conflict. So expect that kind of energy here. I would say that you're going to be doing it. Like that looks like you doing it, in terms of accepting. The thing you need to let go of are illusions, like imagining that you can solve all of these problems yourself, or imagining the worst that will happen. Usually the Seven of Cups isn't a bad card. It's a card of kind of daydream energy, brainstorming energy. It's imagining the possibilities, trying to come up with solutions, coming up with ideas, things like that. And each one of those cups represents an idea or something. Not all of them are so good, though. Some of those cups have snakes in them. Some have jewels. Some are unknown. It's a time to let go of that kind of thinking, right? In a way, this can be a procrastination energy, and because we're not acting on it. It's a cups card, so it's just emotional in nature. It's just stuff we're experiencing inwardly. It's not reversed, so I can't say that it's bordering on delusions, but it is getting out of your head. That's what you need to let go of, is being up in your head about trying to solve problems, and simply accept the help. That is the very clear message here. Now, what you can expect, or we can embrace more of, is the Tower. And I love this because this is how I feel about Tower energy. This is massive change to a dynamic or a situation of some kind. And normally we don't see it coming. That lightning strike happens out of the blue, so it's not something we can prepare for. But the basic meaning of this card is change. Things that are built on a foundation that aren't meant to last are going to be taken out by a lightning strike. The dynamics of a situation doesn't always have to be a tangible building falling down or something. It's the structure of something. If you have a relationship with someone that is built on a very particular structure, a power dynamic, that can switch. But when this card falls in the embrace position, this is embracing things that are out of your control, embracing change that you can't control. And no, the reason I can say that it's embracing it is good is because if it was meant to break down, it's going to, if it's not strong enough to withstand. So the gist of your reading says, I get the feeling that you have been trying to do something on your own, and you've been thinking of ways through like trying to think of a solution, but you're staying in your head. So to accept help might change a dynamic, but that change is positive. Now, it's funny, the Oracle card that came out is number 34, and that totals up to be a 7 in numerology. Sevens can represent a fair amount of instability on the way to stability. So it can be a little bit chaotic. It can not, it can be something that you don't quite know if you can handle, but it's going to move toward the 8, which is stable. So the card itself is a leg up. And it's exactly what I'm talking about with this card. Like, sometimes tarot is so redundant in a great way because it is, I only have 4 cards out and 2 of them mean exactly the same thing. A leg up is accepting help. I don't know if you're accepting help from a mother figure, because sometimes polar bears in the tarot can represent a maternal, like, protective force, but it could be help with business, because again, that can be a large business kind of energy. And the Pentacles card can talk to money. So, but it's not having to do everything on your own in a stubborn way. And that will result in change, right? If you have someone that co-signs a loan for you, that changes the dynamic, because that person is now in debt with you. So maybe you owe them, maybe, owe them not just money on the debt, but to pay them back on time. It might change the dynamic of a relationship. But the theory here is what's meant to fall down is meant to fall down. And this help is actually going to change your life. And that change is worth embracing. So if you were worried and you didn't know how you were going to solve something, accept help, because whatever comes will change the situation for the better. So I think it's a great message. I'm not sure if what you think you have had to take on alone, but this is supposed to come through as a message of hope, that all you have to do is accept help. And it is there. The implication is the help is there, and that this help will change your situation for the better. So I'll talk to you later. Okay, Leo. The reading I did for Leo when I did the other readings was corrupted when I went to edit and put it together with the others. So I had to redo it today. So an energy that you can expect here toward the end of December going into January is the Justice energy. And this is kind of a big card in the tarot deck. It can represent a legal situation that you may hear word about or get a ruling on, potentially something you've been worried about because of one of the other cards here. But it's also a partnership card in the deck. Libra energy represents our relationships with other people. So this could be something kind of big in your world right now, having to do with other people. Potentially where you stand with other people. There is a huge loyalty factor that is coming through on the Oracle card. So I don't know if you have had doubts or issues with someone and wondering if they're loyal to you in some way, or where they see the relationship. It's that kind of energy, though. It is Libra energy, so it could be that you're dealing with a Libra. It doesn't have to be, but any of those things kind of apply to the Justice. It is about the right thing happening, though, about justice for all. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to come out ahead all the time, but it talks about fairness in a situation in general. So expect that kind of energy to come through. It is somewhat, if you can see the expression on his face, it's unemotional, really. And the purple behind him represents like wisdom. Some Justice tends to see the overview of the whole situation. And it is very diplomatic energy. So I'll be curious to hear if any of you out there, if there is something that you're hearing about, because that's a really strong energy. We didn't get a lot of major arcanas in some of the other signs, so I'm kind of interested about that one. Things that would be beneficial to let go of during this time is the 9 of Swords, and I love seeing it in this position. This is a very difficult card in the tarot deck. The Sword suit, they all represent our thoughts and the way that we communicate. And the 9 and the 10 of this notoriously difficult suit, a lot of our pain comes from our thoughts and the words that we say about ourselves and about situations. So it's a difficult one to maneuver, the whole suit. But in the 9, it's especially tough because it represents anxiety and things that keep us up at night. And you can tell by the background on the card, the black. It can be really dark sometimes. I sometimes will read this card as regret in some ways also. So some of you may be experiencing regrets about something or anxieties. That's why it's really interesting to me that the Justice card came up. And I really get the feeling like there'll be a talk. Someone, if you're dealing with a Libra, may say something. I feel like this has to do with information that will be conveyed in the arena of the Justice card. So a court case being settled, or hearing something, or having a talk with someone that you are in a partnership with. You may be wanting to express your worries, because this does look like it has been something that has been a worry or a source of anxiety. The nature of this card, I really like it. It can get complex when you look at when you understand each card in the tarot deck, and you can pull references from other cards. The 9 swords are in his head, right? And it's nighttime. He's trying to sleep. He can't sleep. 3 of those swords are actually like running not through his person, but behind it. They're hitting his head, and it's energetic. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with like feng shui, but things like you're not supposed to have your headboard against a window, because pollution, noise pollution, light pollution, it comes in and it bombards your headspace when you're trying to sleep. So in this case, that's what it reminds me of. We have 3 swords here that are definitely hitting the headspace while someone's trying to sleep. And the 3 of Swords in the tarot deck represents disappointment and heartache and something that hurts us. It hurts our feelings, it hurts our emotions in some way. So it speaks to something that's already been done. So there's a lot going on here. There may be, that's just compounding. And then as I see this card, it's like things in the past that have happened that have made us worry or hurt us. And then we spiral into the anxiety of the what ifs, and as it gets higher, maybe they get even more, I don't know, more worrisome, but not necessarily reality. So that's why that anxiety can spiral upward like that. Anyway, just that's a side point on that card, because I think it's interesting when you can pick apart the symbols. So the basic thing is let this go. That's what you could let go of that will be beneficial to you here at the end of the year, is any kind of anxiety. And it might require speaking about it, because I do feel so strongly that there'll be conversation or information coming in about this Justice. I like that the Justice card is upright, because that is a positive sign that no matter what the situation is, something will balance here. Justice always balances the scales in some way. It can be a little bit of a karma kind of feeling. That's not my strongest karma card of the deck to me as a reader, but this is more legal, moral, partnership kind of driven things where we need to talk something out. Something to embrace more of that would be beneficial is a very odd card here. It is the Queen of Swords in the reverse. This is, it's a very specific energy, the Queen of Swords in reverse to me. The personality of this card isn't the most pleasant. It's someone who is ignoring their emotions. It can be a very harsh energy. It's someone who's overthinking and using logic and practicality and even meanness, as opposed to listening to their emotional body and communicating about, through that sense in a healthy way. This is blocking people off. This is clamming up. This is, really leaning on that harsh energy. Could be harsh words. It could be gossip, bitterness, resentfulness. It can be a lot of negative aspects to when someone gets hurt usually. The nature of the Queen of Swords is that she has been hurt in the past, and she tends to lead with her sharp mouth, her intellect now, and cuts people off before they have a chance to hurt her. So in the reverse, it's just an extreme form of that. So it doesn't make sense to me in a reading to tell you to embrace more of this. It doesn't speak to any kind of good mental health, especially coming after that Justice card. So I did pull a clarifier on it, because that was an odd one. And it does make more sense now. But the 8 of Pentacles in reverse is the clarifier to the Queen of Swords. When I say clarifier, I just simply mean like an adjective. It lets me know what context to put that queen in. This would be basically telling you to be aware of those times that you feel like you are using your Queen of Swords reverse energy. So say for instance, you've recognized that you're fearful about something and you tend to talk negatively or hold grudges, or you put your shields up so that you're not hurt anymore. That becomes habitual. And with the Eight of Swords in reverse here, it's saying not to let that energy become a habit. And any habits you have in that realm of those things I was saying about the Queen of Swords is to catch yourself, that your emotions really do need to be addressed, and not to block people out. Don't engage in a lot of gossip, the things that maybe you have done routinely without even really knowing it. And this isn't to say that Leos are the only ones to do this. We all do this. We all have a tendency to shut down areas where we have been hurt before and we don't want to talk about things. Repression can come in this arena. So for going into the end of the year, I just feel like this together is saying what you could help yourself do is to catch those moments when you try to ignore what your emotions are trying to tell you. Leos tend to be, in my experience, kind of a happy sign. Joy is associated with Leo energy, and you want more of that. So we get that through a rigorous honesty, getting away from the anxiety, airing things out with our partners, and being real with ourselves. So to me, to embrace this, it's a weird way to say it to me because there are softer cards to indicate basically listen to your emotions, but I kind of see what this is. You don't want to return to anxiety and worry. So this is like saying catch the habits as they come up. Like you're in a different place now, I think. There could be some information where you feel better. So don't let yourself backslide into old habitual ways of, thinking from a colder space, protecting yourself. Definitely let a little more of your emotions out at the time. So sorry, I talked that a lot. It was just a complicated way of doing it. And I kind of see why, because they're really that clarifying card talks to more of rewiring how you express yourself in giving a nod to how you really feel about things. Less protection, but it's really focusing on the habit of it. And self-talk is a habit. Our responses do become habitual. We're just creatures of habit like that. We do that. For good, for bad, whatever. We all kind of do that. So you have a really nice energy for the Oracle card, which I really love. This seems to be a very positive spread overall. The Loyal Heart card is the number 35, and there are owls on there, and if you can tell, it's really cool because we have the Justice card here and the two pillars back there. And I said Justice represents kind of relationships and our partnerships of any kind. And you have two owls and they're forming a heart. So this is a very partnership-driven spread here. It doesn't have to be like a romantic love situation. It could be any kind of partnership where you care for another person. But Loyal Heart here, this is a card that encourages you to have faith in the loyalty of others, and it encourages you to be loyal and have that mirrored back to you in your partnerships, to recognize and to look for that. It's kind of like a big hug to me, because this is saying when you're loyal, things might not be as bad as you think. You do inspire loyalty in others with yours. So it's kind of this tit for tat relational kind of energy, but it's coming across as an encouragement in the Oracle deck. So if you were worried, I think this is lean in. Leos are the sign of loyalty, so this is a real fundamental value in that, the energy of that zodiac sign anyway. So something might have shaken you a little bit, and this is just kind of, it feels like this big warm hug to me to say, you talk what you need to talk. There's going to be a situation that's righted, and when you express loyalty outwardly, the universe is going to show it back to you. So be watching for it. So I love it. I think it's a really nice, gentle read, and I hope you find something there that's helpful. Bye. Okay, hi Virgo. I have your cards pulled here. The energy that you can kind of expect in some realm of your life in toward the end of this year, beginning of January here, is the Moon card in reverse. Now, this can mean a lot of things. The Moon card is a major arcana, and I like it both in the reverse and in the upright. They just mean, different things, obviously. So it's kind of a big energy. And I will say, just looking at the three cards I pulled, two of them have some connection to the sign of Cancer. So I don't know if this is speaking to maybe something about Cancer season from last year or this coming Cancer season, which is in June. But that could be at play here is that Cancer energy, because both this and the Chariot card, which showed up, do have that association. So basically, the Moon in reverse talks about clarity to some degree. Something that might have come to light, something that you have, it could be like something beneath the surface that has come up in yourself. Maybe a realization. It could be actual facts, but it could just be an awareness of something. When the card is in the upright, it really has to do with our subconscious mind and our emotional body. Things that are kind of beneath the realm of like the everyday awareness stuff. Things under the surface that are at play for us. And one thing I like to say about the moon energy is that not everything is so clear because we're working off of feelings, and a lot of it, again, is subconscious. So we're not always aware of things as crisply as we would if we were dealing with the sun card. The sun, when it's sunny out, everything is very illuminated. We see things for what they are. But when there's a moon, like a full moon out, yes, it's still, there's some visible light, but there's an awful lot of shadows and things that are murky. And so we have to kind of trust our instincts and feel our way around, because we can't always trust what we're seeing. But so that element of not trusting what we're seeing goes away when the moon is in reverse. Now, what I'm really drawn to in this particular reading, and it's so weird because yours is so, I think I could talk for an hour here. It's pretty deep. But it's probably pointing to an actual circumstance in your life. Something could become very clear, and it may be something having to do with an unhappiness or something deep in your emotions that you have been either suppressing, or there is something about that moon. It's a moon card, but it does look like the sun, right? And with it being on the bottom of the card, it looks like it's been suppressed. And so to me, there could be a great deal of clarity about your own happiness, about what's going to make you happy, about something coming to light, about something that made you unhappy before, or what you've been putting your focus on that has been bringing you down. So be ready for some clarity of emotions. It could be regarding a very specific situation in your life that is happening that could have resulted in some clarity. But I think this moon energy is really speaking to me on your own emotional self. So be looking for those epiphanies and that shadowy, how do I feel about something coming to, I don't know, a better understanding, more clarity toward the end of this year. What you need to let go of is the Three of Swords in reverse. And this is, we've had this card come up. So in the most realistic sense, this is just a card of letting go of past disappointments, letting those swords fall out. I'm really feeling resentments. I don't know if you have some deep resentments that you've kind of clung to, possibly even as an excuse, or I don't know, maybe you've gotten some payoff for feeling kind of bitter about something. It could be something that broke your own heart if it was a decision that you didn't make at some point in the past. It's kind of time to let all of that go. So I don't know why I'm being called to say this could have come about where you broke your own heart, but that's coming through again pretty strongly. That may have had to do with a moment of indecision on your part. You didn't choose something, and thus you missed out, or something happened where you were disappointed then. But that's past energy, and now there's actual clarity that is coming here toward the end of the year about maybe something hidden that was down deep inside you that you didn't even know made you feel great, that you really loved or something. It wouldn't have come about though without all the past. So it's time to kind of, that's the epiphany part, is you may have realized something about your own emotional sense, something became clear, and it would be time to like let go of all those past disappointments or resentment and embrace, what you should embrace is the Chariot energy. Now, this is about gaining control. The guy has got the reins here of both parts of the Chariot, the light and the dark. So what I'm feeling from this spread, because we're talking about clarity and we move right into the Chariot, which is about fast forward motion, it's momentum, and it's very successful. Usually the Chariot card represents a certain amount of like speed and covering good ground. And in that sense, it can be a travel card. So you could, there could be something regarding travel and all that yellow around it. Maybe you're falling in love with that or something. But it's gaining the reins of both the dark and the light of a situation. That's kind of what I'm feeling like for here. You'll make better progress and you'll be more successful in whatever this is when you understand both sides of the issue. Right? So maybe you get clarity that shows you something. And the way this is coming through is something that you might have thought was a loss or something that held you back. You may have an epiphany that it actually brought about something you really love. So what seemed like a loss took you down a path of discovery into something that you love. And now you can look at it as not being a loss. It actually got you to a place to discover something that you really want. And in that way, you can be so much more successful. Now, I don't even know if this is toward an end. And when I say that is, this is about moving forward in the spirit of knowing better who you are and what you like. And there's more emotional balance here, even if there isn't a real destination in mind yet. It's just moving down a path that feels better. All right. So I will leave that at that. That's what you should embrace. And I really like that. That's a really great card. The Oracle card that came out is the Higher Power card. And again, we've seen this before already in these readings. So I really love that this is coming out. At least I think we have. I've done it today. At least it was either for the YouTube readings or a personal reading. But the Higher Power card is number 4. 4s are a card of stability of some kind, so that's a good sign. But mainly what this Oracle card talks about is your connection to the divine, your relationship with God or divinity or whatever you define that as. It's our connection to the larger thing. So I don't know if you're going to be looking at that a little bit late this month. Oracle cards usually come out as advice. So it's the understanding the bigger picture of maybe certain things that have happened in your life, that maybe they were for a reason, that maybe there was a little bit more of a plan involved. And it can be kind of a humbling card to think that you're not in as much control as you thought you were. And in a way that can feel like fearful, but in another way it's really good because it alleviates the need for you to take responsibility for everything that has happened, which means you don't have to do the blaming that I see in this card, that you don't have to hold on to the resentments of this card because there was something else at play. So you're not solely responsible, and neither is anyone else, that this is all part of something bigger. And it may help you out this month a little to either try to get back in touch, if you haven't been, with any kind of prayer or, that inner connection to source, to spirit, to God, to your inner self. And I don't know, try to strengthen that, lean into it, be grateful for it. That it breeds trust and faith. And with those come hope and optimism then. And so that's where I think this card is coming into play. By leaning in, we can easily see the bigger picture of a situation. And we know how it helped us. We know why it was here. We know it led us to a certain spot. So we're able to let go of the resentments and embrace the control, but this time with the help, knowing that we're not all alone. We're not having to fix every single thing. We don't need to know everywhere we're going. We just need to trust ourselves on the inside and that connection we have to God. So I talked that one to death, but it was a really interesting read. I think it's really good. That moon reversed really speaks to, maybe epiphany is a strong word. It's more of an understanding about your deeper self and something that you thought was either a mess up or a loss or a disappointment actually brought you to a really good place. So it's just adjusting your emotions and your mindset around that, and seeing the bigger picture and what part you played versus what part was the bigger picture and God and all that. So it should make for an interesting start to the new year. Hi, Libra. The cards I pulled for you today, the overall card that you can, the energy you can expect to experience here coming up in the next couple of weeks is the Ace of Swords. I think this is a really great card to have any time in a reading. Aces are all opportunities. They are hands, like the hand of God, reaching out to present an opportunity for something. And in this case, the Ace of Swords represents truth or clarity or some kind of communication. So it could be a great idea that, is very inspiring that comes to you. But the beauty of the aces is that we do have free will. It's just an opportunity. You can take or leave what's on offer. And in your case, I think there's a great amount of truth available to you in the form of wisdom. That purple around the sword is like a higher truth. It's very wise. It's beyond the physical. All right. It resonates with the crown chakra, which is purple, and our connection to the divine. So it is a higher knowledge of something than maybe you had previously. And it also could be communication. You could have a letter of truth, some kind of additional information that has come across your way. And when you choose to accept that, it's going to change something for you, I see here. And it might create a little bit of chaos. So the thing you need to let go of that will be helpful to let go of is like this daydreamy energy of thinking there are a lot of options. And I don't know, I'm not sure what you might have been thinking about that you could have been, say there's an issue and you're trying to solve it. You're trying to come up with a solution, or you want to start a new project and you're just trying to find inspiration. You want to go on vacation, and so you start imagining all the different places you could go. This is an energy of like daydreaming and brainstorming and the different options for things. It's a cups card. So it has to do with not having something in the real world necessarily yet. It is really all about it. We're up in our head over it. We're in our emotions about it. What would feel good to me here? And it's just kind of throwing things out there. So it can also be, now this didn't come up in reverse, so I don't think it's a real negative energy, but it could be kind of lost in thought, right? You could spend a lot of time daydreaming about what could be or what if, instead of dealing in the practical realities. So it could be that what you experience is a reality check of some kind in the form of some kind of truth or new knowledge, or like I said, a kind of a lightning bolt of like inspiration even. But this is coming into play. And what it's asking you to do is to let go of being lost in your head. Now, what you need to embrace that will help the whole time period. This is an odd one to ask you to embrace, because the Nine of Cups is the wish card of the minor arcana. So it's basically kind of very satisfied emotionally. This is a card where he is sitting there. In some ways, it can be almost smug in his settledness. He's really emotionally satisfied. If cups are emotions, this is having, kind of everything you want and very comfortable in that. And it's, again, the wish card. So it's what we want, what we think of as our emotional fulfillment. When it's in reverse, it's not getting the wish that you wanted. It can be a really smug energy, but I wouldn't, when it's in reverse, but I wouldn't say that's what you're supposed to embrace. I think this nice settled place that you were in, or something that you wanted to see happen that you thought you wanted, it would benefit you to embrace a slight understanding, or I was getting ready to say a slight disappointment, but an understanding that maybe that thing that you wanted really isn't what you want. And that is going to come about because of this. So while you were in your head about what sounded good, what I think I would like for my life, there's kind of some cold hard facts or a truth that come through to your benefit. Like, everything on this card is positive. It's clarity. And it could be very clear that something you thought you wanted isn't going to come about, or is no longer what you want. So it would benefit you to, like, embrace the fact that it's okay for this kind of disappointment to exist. And what I mean by that is, sometimes when we go after something we want and it doesn't happen, we can either give up, but if we're really open-minded and we're really determined to understand the bigger picture, we can realize that that thing that we wanted maybe wasn't the best thing for us, and we can actually begin to accept that and create something better. So many times as an artist, I have started a project. I thought I knew what I wanted. I spent a lot of time imagining it, only to find out halfway through the project that it really wasn't going to work. What I was trying to do isn't going to work the way that I thought it was going to. And I could keep beating my head against that wall over and over, but that was going to waste a lot of time and a lot of resources. And that wasn't really going to bring the satisfaction I thought it was going to bring. So just by saying, okay, well, this isn't ending up the way that I want, and accepting that, it frees me from any delusion and allows me to make the changes to get to something better. So this seems to me kind of like that Garth Brooks song about sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. There's an element of that in this set of cards, is to, accept something that didn't work, that wasn't going to work. It also could just simply have to do with your mindset about something. We can get pretty settled in being comfortable in what we think we know because it makes us feel good, right? When we have spent our whole life wrapped up with one mindset about something, and it's comfortable. We build our values on it, and we build our life around it, and we think we're doing things right until something comes along that offers the real truth of the matter, or something that contradicts what we have thought, what we have built our life on. And, it kind of can push us right out of that satisfied comfort zone. And it can create some really uncomfortable emotions. This doesn't have to be disappointment. It can be a real uncomfortable place where we have to accept a new truth now, and that makes us expand. And sometimes we don't want to do that because we're comfortable, and it's scary to embrace something we don't know. So this spread is just asking you to embrace that. Now, the oracle card that came out is chaos and conflict. And I love that horse that is painted like a giraffe. I love that so much. So you may actually be seeing something that you really can't believe, that was out of your realm of experience, and it might make you uncomfortable. And the best route forward here is to accept it, to expand your own mind, to expand your own emotional base. We're always better when we open up to that kind of expansion. But the magic of this oracle card, it talks about how chaos and confusion can be really scary. It can threaten the things that feel like stability to us. And now I'm kind of paraphrasing what I know about these cards. So if anybody owns this deck and I've got it a little bit wrong, just bear with me. I always take this card to mean that within all of that chaos, there is the remarkable chance to make something better. sometimes we shy away from change. We shy away from things that are falling apart or confusing. But if we kind of throw ourselves into the mix, it gives us an equal chance to fix it and make it better, as opposed to totally shying away from it or refusing to go there. So when this card comes up, it's a clear signal that if you are finding that you're in a very confusing, chaotic situation that is a little bit scary, I wouldn't cling to the old and I wouldn't get caught in your head. I would move as quickly as possible when you find out the new information, find out the truth, see the clarity of a situation, and don't be afraid to embrace the fact that it might make you uncomfortable and it might push you out of that comfort zone of feeling like you know the right thing. It's a feel thing. These are cups cards. So it's asking you to use your intuition and, to open up your mind and to let go of, stale emotions and the safety of what you think you know. So overall, I think it's really good. I wouldn't worry and I wouldn't panic if you do, have a great deal of that, because I do think clarity is coming. And even if it's not going to pan out the way that you thought, it means there could be something better out there when we go ahead and accept the thing the way it is, when we see the truth of it. So I hope that helps. That was interesting. And I don't think it's going to be rough at all. I think it's just calling for you to open up your mind. Hi, Scorpio. Your reading for this late month, or this late part of December, has to do with stepping back from a certain type of defensiveness that maybe you've had. I'm just going to jump right in. The energy that you should look out for is the Five of Pentacles. And when I say look out for it, I don't mean as a warning, although this isn't one of the better cards in the deck. The card itself indicates a kind of conflict. All the fives represent a kind of conflict. The great thing is it's a minor arcana card that typically means this is an energy we move through fairly quickly. It's very difficult to stay in a five because it forces us to pivot one way or another. It's like we can't stay there. We're going to have to choose. Now, the Five of Pentacles has to do with our material resources. So time and money and energy and our attention. And even sometimes it can have to do with the people that we're around. These people are literally feeling left out in the cold. Now, the focus of this card is where their focus is. Right now, they are focused on their ailments, the things that are wrong. And they have their heads, down, or the one is down. And they're slumping along out in the snow, but what they're passing right by is the warmth and security of that church. There is help right there. They could come inside, they could be warm, there's probably food in there, and instead they're very focused on their own lack. And so this is often like a card of poverty consciousness, and that can involve people too, feeling left out of a group. Feeling broke in any way. So watch for this energy to show up. And I think the focus here is when you feel this energy, that you're left out or that you don't have enough, it's to, I hope anyway, this reading, if you're watching it, inspires you to just turn your head to the side. Look around for the support, because it's right here. And all you need to do is ask for it or come inside. So the next time you get feeling like the FOMO feeling, fear of missing out, the fear of not having enough, and when you start to feel that lack, do something about it. Lift your head up and look around, because there is help. And it's time at this point, it's time to go find the help. Because I don't think you're going to have to look very far. I think it's really close. So I hope that helped. That's an interesting one. I don't think that is a bad energy at all. I think this reading is meant to make you be aware of that feeling. Now, the thing you need to let go of, or that would be helpful to let go of, I never tell people what they need to do or not do. This is all just suggestion and a different way to look at circumstances going on. So what would be helpful to let go of is the Seven of Wands. This is that defensive energy. This is the card of like standing on the hill that you're going to die on. It's expecting people to attack you. He has a very defensive posture. And in some ways, it's very positive. we make a lot of ground and we don't want to give that ground up just because other people don't like what we're doing, or they have some issue with us, or they could have negative comments about what we're doing. So yeah, sometimes it's appropriate to be on the defense a little bit and to stand your ground when you know you're right. However, in this case, I think what this is saying is you might have tried to ignore the help that's around you in a stubborn way that has caused you to feel an excessive amount of lack. And it's time to let that go. It's time to be more vulnerable. Going in to get help does require a certain level of vulnerability. And that's kind of the opposite of this card, defending oneself. It also is a minor arcana, so I don't really know if this is going to be a giant situation or not. But it may prove helpful that you may need to drop your guard a little to accept help. And it's there because what's coming next, the thing you should embrace, is doing the work. So if you ask someone for advice or you ask someone for help, then this card comes about because it is the work card. It's Virgo energy, but it's also a card of mastery. This guy is not put out. He's doing work and he's seated. He seems to be okay doing it, but there's a great deal of precision and uniformity into what he's doing. He's being consistent. And so it's an 8. So I like this. You can stay at a 7, in your stubborn stance, or you can accept the help that is available to you and move on to the 8, which is a much more prosperous place to be. It's a much more comfortable place to be. And, it's less defensive. You can just tell in the 2, the tone. He's working on something productive and material that's making him money. And he's comfortable. He's seated, and it's not putting him out. He's mastering something. Or you can stand here on this hill thinking everyone is against you and, not dropping the ego, not dropping your guard, always on the defense. And, it's just not a comfortable place to be. It requires so much more effort. So I think you're going to move into I think this pivot, the 5, that will force you to pivot into a more productive place. And I don't know if productive is the right word, because I'm really seeing there is a comfort here about the work being put in that brings us an element of pride with it. And doing something consistently, building up a reputation for consistency and mastery. And it's all so good. Like, I really enjoy this a lot. More things can get done when you accept help. That's kind of the gist of the reading. Now, the Oracle card that came out today is the Regeneration card. And that's the card 46. So 4 plus 6 in numerology is a 10. And 10s are endings, but they reduce to a 1, which is a new beginning. And the 10 and the 1, that switch in there from an ending to a beginning, is what the Regeneration card is about. It is the Phoenix energy. It's one thing ending, dying off, so that something new can begin. And that's kind of the gist here. What I like is that we're talking about a 7 and an 8. In the other card. So that's like a progress toward something. You may have a goal. You may be in the middle of a situation right now, and maybe you're feeling kind of stuck, or maybe you find yourself slipping into that defensive mode of shutting people out. If you let people in to help, they're going to help kickstart you to that next step, that level 8. And that's a good place to be. All right. So this is how you do it. Some other part of you has to die so that there can be a newer you, one that is more confident, one that is humble enough to accept help and recognize that there is more to be done than you can do alone. So we all need help from time to time, but it can be from anything from your finances to a relationship to how you deal with relationships. It can be anything, but it is time for letting the old way go, right? And if somebody has a tip that can help you out and change up how you do things a little bit, I know in my process, I'm always studying new people doing stained glass tutorials and things like that. Same with tarot. I listen to tarot a lot. I practice. I want to know how other people are reading, because if I can find a way that will help push me forward a little bit, then I'm down for it. You know, I'm all for like trying to see, because I don't think I know everything about how to do it, and I don't want to be stuck. I want to constantly be progressing. Every project I want to get a little bit better. So that's all we're talking about here, is shedding a skin so that a new way of being can come about, and flourish. And it does look like it. Be on the lookout for, this is what you want to embrace, is consistency. Consistency and mastery of this thing, this journey that you've been on here. So I hope that didn't get too deep, but it's a good reading. I really like it, and I love how the numbers flow in that one. So, okay, bye. Okay, hi Sagittarius. The reading I pulled for you here is has the potential to get kind of deep, although I think the message is pretty simple. So I'm just going to kind of jump right in. I'm going to go a little bit different order than I have the other ones. I'm going to take the energy that it would benefit you to let go of here at the end of the year into the first part of January. And it's the Nine of Pentacles, which is a strange card to come up and say you should let go of it, because this is a card of abundance and feeling very independent. I think that's what I'm cueing in on, because I would never tell you to let go of the feeling of this card, because this is having it all. She's standing in her garden. She's got everything she needs, happy as a lark here. But in other words, what to let go of would be the independent part, from the standpoint of thinking you have to go it alone all the time. Now, if this card comes up in this position as something to let go of that would be beneficial to you, I think it would be a mindset based on prior choices where you were tied to someone else. And so there is security to you in remaining independent. And I think that's what we're cueing in on here, is that there may be a stubbornness associated with this, or a comfort zone associated with not having to trust someone else. So that could be something to keep an eye on. The energy to watch for is a clinginess. If you feel the need to cling to what is yours and cling to the old way of thinking and be very rigid in letting things go. This guy doesn't want to let go of any of his coins. All right. He's afraid to let go. He's afraid to be without. But anyone that works with money knows that money needs to flow. Resources need to flow. And I get the word flow through this reading. You can cling on to an old mindset, an old way of thinking, to the point that it can become restrictive. And that's what this point is. Yes, he's stable. Fours are stable. But look how far away from the city he is. Right? He's not engaging. He's not interacting. He can't let go of his coins to do anything. He can't scratch his nose. He can't do anything. Or else lose one of his coins. That's what he's thinking. And so it's very restrictive then when you begin to close off entirely. So while this card is great energy, I would never tell you to let go of this feeling. The rigid independence of it, that you have to do this life all by yourself. You have to do this job all by yourself. I wouldn't be surprised if it might be a work thing, because they're coin cards. So say you've been independent for a long time, right? And you could stubbornly be sitting on, clinging to a few coins here that you have, but it's not a lot of freedom to do much else. So be on the lookout for not letting go of something that needs to be let go of. Probably this idea that you have to do everything yourself. That's what it looks like. So I think it's more of an idea, but it is a clingy energy. It's holding on too tightly to something. Watch for that energy. What you need to embrace is a little scary. I'm not going to lie. It's the Moon card. And to ask someone to embrace the Moon card means listen to yourself. Tap in. Like, it's being able to hear yourself. It's listening to your own gut instinct on things, your own intuition on things. Listen to your feelings about things. And I know some people are out there probably gagging because I'm saying listen to your feelings. But the nature of it is our feelings are, they're like a gauge. I mean, it's a monitoring system. So we listen to it in other ways. We put smoke alarms in our house. We adjust the temperature on the stove with a gauge. We watch our gauges on our car to tell us when something's wrong. And it's exactly like that for humans. Emotions are indicator lights. They let us know when a situation or a person or a job or an environment makes us happy, makes us sad, makes us mad. We don't want to stay in the environments that make us mad. You don't want to be around a person who's consistently making you sad. And without that indicator of sadness, that emotion, we may stay in a dangerous situation. So when you learn to read your own gauges like that, then this energy becomes fairly easy. I am a creature who navigates a lot of my life through how I feel about things, and I have forever been told I was too sensitive to things. I do have sensitive gauges, but the thing is, it steers me to the things that make me happy and away from the things that don't. And I think that's what this is calling for you, Sagittarius, in this end part of the year, is you're going to have to trust your gut on this one. You're going to have to go with the flow and not force any certain way because of a need to hang on to an old way of being. So this could change. You're going to have to read between the lines a little bit. You're going to have to be more fluid with what the occurrences are. When the moon is out, things aren't clear. I've said this before, that it's very shadowy. It's not like when the sun is out. When the sun's out, we can see everything. But when the full moon is out, we just see some is illuminated, but a lot of it is in shadow. So we have to maneuver using our own sensitivity. And it really, I don't know the best way to say this, except it's a go with the flow kind of thing. And when you start to feel your gauges start registering things, you adjust course, but it's a much squishier energy. It's not cut and dry. So I think it's kind of interesting. I would say this is a timing card also for Sagittarius, that I would say up till the next full moon, which would be sometime around mid-January. It may be a little touch and go. You may have to kind of like listen to your gut, read the room, make some allowances for things. It's a very emotional card. And your subconscious is going to be at play in a big way over the next 4 weeks. So I wouldn't necessarily cling to any one way of being. Something that needs to go, an old mindset, an old way of being. If you need to partner up for a while, you might need to take it as it comes for a little bit. And just go with the flow. See how it is. Now, the oracle card that came out is number 7. And again, I've said before, 7s are a little bit hard because they imply a little bit of change. And it's leading to success, though. An 8 is getting into very successful energy, consistent energy. And I like that. I associate 8s in my head with payoff of some kind, where your efforts begin to pay off. You are mastering a certain area. So the by the sea card to me is very much a go with the flow energy. The person is on a boat, and it always makes me think of a bathtub, but the person's on a boat in the sea, right? How much control can you really have in your little vessel when you're talking about the ocean? So we're not in control. The best we can do is deal with the waves and try to navigate our own little boat the best we can, but recognize that no matter what we do, we're kind of at the whim of what's going on, and it could be bad, it could be scary, but we're really not going to know. We don't really have that kind of control. So to the sea, to me, it talks of an expansiveness that shows up in the moon card. That is a very expansive energy too, the realm of the subconscious and what's possible, and what we don't know, the shadowy side of life, the things that we can't see coming, all of that. And it's asking for some trust, but that a smart kind of trust. It's holding on, but hold on loosely. That would be, if I had to pick a song, that would go really well. Just see how it goes. There are rocky times, but there are good times. But that sea is so expansive. There's so much opportunity out there. There's so much opportunity if you can let go of the need to stay in your own little safe garden even if it's all by yourself. There's a big world out there, and you have a little bit of control in your boat. But once you venture out into the realm of relationships or partnerships with work, it's not all just within your control. And I think you're a little reluctant to let go of that control. So be on the lookout for those times you want to cling to your control. And remember that the next 4 weeks are a really good time to venture out just a little bit. Use your instincts, control your vessel the best you can, but really go with the flow, because the opportunities available to you right now are really great. They're great in expanse. So I hope that helps. That was kind of an interesting, difficult one to get across the way it was coming through in my head, but I hope that helps. Hello, Capricorn. Your cards are very interesting. I'm going to start with the card that maybe the energy of you can expect coming up here at the end of January. And it is your card, actually. The Devil card is the Capricorn energy of the deck. And I've always thought that was slightly unfortunate because, Capricorns are not the devil, and the devil is not what people think of when they think of the devil. So I will take a minute. I've done an entire little tarot talk video about this, but the devil represents attachment. And attachment is a fancy word for things like addictions and things that we're afraid of, that we cling to, that we, don't want to let go of. And it stops us. We're not free in some way. So I always associate the devil with attachment. Now, to some people, this would be addictions to alcohol, to drugs, to anything. Shopping can be an addiction. Self-talk, negative self-talk can be an addiction. Something that we think we have to have, that we really don't. And the great thing about this energy, and I'm not quite sure why I don't know enough about there's a lot that goes into why certain cards are associated with astrological signs. So I'm not even going to try there with Capricorn right now in this video. But it is the Capricorn card of the deck. The fact that you're supposed to be, one energy you could encounter is the fact that this card is reversed is, I want to say on the surface, you may not feel like yourself a little bit. And it's a good thing, actually, because you're dropping. There may be a moment, it may be for the rest of the year, I don't know, but you may be dropping an attachment to something, because this is literally overcoming the devil. And this is letting go of this thing that you might have been clinging to in some way. And it just could be our sense of obligation. When you have a family, when you have coworkers, there are so many obligations associated with our love for other people and our care for other people. But this is overcoming that. And it's not a negative thing. It's an incredibly wildly positive thing, because it represents freedom. So look for those moments of freedom here at the end of the year. It might make you slightly uncomfortable because it feels unnatural, but it doesn't, pay close attention to the feeling of freedom. You owe that to yourself in some way. The oracle card that came out is peace. And I think that is what is so appropriate that goes with this. When we overcome the devil, we experience peace. And I think that you need it. I think this is a great time of year for it. The holidays are hectic. Everyone's trying to wrap up things at the end of the year. And there are so many pressures socially, with our families, with our friends. There's even with the weather, sometimes there's just an intense amount of pressure. So look for those moments that you can let go of having to do so much, whether it's obligation or whether you can put down a vice. Look for those moments where you have overcome being chained to something. Now, the thing to let go of is the feeling of emotional loss. The fives just keep coming up in this position, so it's really interesting. The Five of Cups indicates emotions that are spilled over. 3 cups have spilled, and he's mourning that. He's sad, right? Now, in tarot, water represents our emotions, so there's a river there. There's no way for him to cross that river, right? He's too focused on what is lost. So if those are tears flowing because you're sad, and I'm not downplaying your sadness, I'm saying it might sound cheesy to say the river could be tears, but it's metaphor. And so how do you get across all that emotion? How do you move into calmer territory, right? Well, it's not by focusing on what's lost. If you turn around, there's Two of Cups right behind him. He still has a partner. He still has emotional support and love right behind him. And guess what happens when he turns around? The bridge comes into view. There's a bridge. He can't see it right now because of where his focus is. So this is a card that always encourages you, no matter where it falls in the spread, to recognize when it's time to shift your focus into what you still have left. And that is what's being asked to let go of, is that energy of needing to pivot away from that loss, emotional loss. That could be something as simple as you need some time to yourself this month. So maybe you turn down a couple of social engagements. Maybe you tell your friend you can't babysit. Maybe, you decide not to go out to a couple of Christmas parties. Sure, there's loss there. You are missing out. You miss your friends. You might feel guilty. But the thing is, you've overcome the sense of obligation to do something when it's not coming from a real honest place, because you're giving it to yourself. What you really need is peace. Now, that's just one way this could play out, but that's a very good way that I see it playing out because of the Oracle card being peace, is that you're overcoming the obligation when you put yourself first. And that's a positive thing. And it could be with money too. And the only reason I say that is what to embrace in the next couple of weeks is the Page of Pentacles in reverse. This means not giving out your time, not giving out your money, not giving out your attention. It's embracing holding those things to yourself, right? Not spreading yourself too thin. It's also about not giving out to things that don't pay you back much. So if they're minor obligations, if they're minor things, don't worry about it. Like, say you're sitting in a house that needs to be clean and you have so many little jobs to do around the house. Rather than do them all, let the little ones go. Like, cleaning out the refrigerator can wait for another day, right? So go ahead and vacuum real quick and take care of that, and maybe, wash your sheets. But the big stuff, the little stuff, there's certain jobs that can wait. You don't have to do them all. So let go of the things that don't matter. But also don't give your energy away. Don't parcel it out to so many different places. If you have 6 invitations to parties, pick one and politely decline the others. It's that kind of energy that you'll have a lot of opportunity in the next few weeks to turn a bunch of small things down and retain that energy for yourself. And it really will bring you peace. Now, the peace card is number 23, and that reduces to a 5. So this is kind of pivot energy, and I like it because I think it's necessary to change course a little bit. You need to give yourself a little bit of peace when this card comes up to me. It not only talks about the need for it if the card comes up, but also that you're deserving of it. That we all, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than to feel peaceful. At least to me. That's better than happy. Like, I would rather be peaceful than happy. And oddly enough, when I am peaceful, it inspires happy. But sometimes my brain just wants peace. Sometimes my soul just wants to feel settled. And that's what this is about. Harmony within yourself, within your relationships. When you're peaceful, everything works better. When you're peaceful, decisions become easier. And it must be that you need that desperately right now, because that is coming up as a whole thing. And I just feel strongly, this could be a lot of things. I just feel strongly this is overcoming obligation to others. And especially out of guilt. This card can be a card of guilt. So you need to put the guilt away and focus on your own peace and not give to the things that don't matter. Sure, if we had all the time in the world and unlimited resources, we could give away a lot, but we don't. And certain things we just need to stop giving to. Other things are always going to be important. But the goal for the next couple of weeks is peace. I hope that helps. So it's pretty straightforward, but I think it's crazy that the devil card came out for Capricorn. So anyway, I'm glad I got to explain that a little bit. Bye. Hi, Aquarius. Your reading is super interesting to me. I am going to jump right in. The card to look out for, or the energy that you can expect to maybe come along in some way toward the end of this year, is the Chariot card. Now, the Chariot energy is super interesting and it's super powerful and it's really great. Okay, this is a card about getting the reins of something, both sides. It's coming into balance of the vehicle that you're in so that you can gain momentum and speed. And it's a card of success. It's covering a lot of ground quickly. And there's a lot to this card that I love. It's a Cancer energy. It represents Cancer zodiac sign. So you could be dealing with Cancer in your life. But if you look at the curtain above him, I can't even make my words happen. I've been reading so long today. Whatever that is above him, the hood thing, has stars on it, and that really, really reminds me of Aquarius energy. Aquarius is the star card of the tarot, and they're also kind of the aliens of the zodiac. But if you are one, I'm sure you already know that. So I love this, that it's really speaking to a broad-minded, higher level of thinking that's kind of out there, and I like it. So your ideas around something may have grown exponentially. All right, so there's a lot coming with this reading, and I need to try to just calm it down. But this is about getting control, and it's getting control of the black and the white, if you look on the card. And if you try to take off in a chariot and you only have one side under control, if you only have one of the reins, you're going to steer off into a ditch. You're not going to be successful. You're not going to stay on the road. You're not going to gain momentum. That only happens when you are in control of yourself. When you, and there is a great deal of control here that I see, but it's also really successful. So be watching. This could have to do with a literal car. You might be changing cars. You may be going back to a car that you used to have. It's also a card of travel, so it could indicate like a road trip of some kind. But mainly, it's a card about determination. Look at his face. You know, he's a very determined character to hold on to the reins and to do something the right way. And I like it because it's still Aquarius energy. You're still out there. You're still the rebel. But you're going to win, and you're going to do, but you have to follow the rules to a degree. And the Oracle card that came out is by the book. And I think I'm going to jump ahead and pick this. This card is by the book. It's following the rules. It's card number 11, which I love. That reduces to a 2. So it may be that you have to get the reins of something. Because Aquarius energy is kind of rebellious anyway. But with this, by the book, following the rules, you may have other people that you have to consider right now. And it may force you to do things by the book a little bit right now. Now, the great thing is the spread is talking about doing something again. I see an ending, okay, that you have to acknowledge. But then I see you starting over again with other people in mind. And there is a determination here to remain an Aquarius, to remain a rebel, but you're going to succeed. Like the determination to succeed. And it could be to change something. It could be to win, to make a certain amount of money, to get that job. I don't know. But there is something here that by grabbing the reins and doing something by the book, you can take your rebellious spirit and elevate. There may be rules that need to be changed, but you have to understand the right time and place to try to change them. I think one of the gists of this reading is that you're not on your own here, and the great thing is you don't have to do things the way they've always been done, but you have to follow the rules to be able to break the rules. And I know that's a complicated thing to understand, but in the art world, it's not enough to say that I don't want to learn the rules. I just want to make art the way I want to make it. No, working artists that are successful generally know that the way that you break the rules is by learning them first. You learn the rules, you learn the techniques, and then you purposefully break them to make a point, to make your artwork stand out, to call something out, to change something up, but it's not nearly as effective if you go in not even knowing the rules. So just to go in very arbitrarily and start changing things and doing things, you're not making your point heard because you don't even know the rules to begin with. And there is a similar vibe here with this of needing to understand the past and why something ended, how it was built, how it was structured, and then you deciding you're going to get in and be successful at this, and then add your own twist. Break the rules, make the new rules as you go based on the fact that you know what they are and you're following them. I hope that made some kind of sense because that was kind of weird. But the thing you need to let go of is a particular kind of ending or a cycle. All right. The World card can be an ending. It's the last card in the tarot. And really there's no ending in tarot because it's like the unending circle. So, but it's kind of what I want to say you need to let go of what you think you know about how the world works. Let me say that again. There is some kind of ending, that you need to let go of. Like if you're still like holding on to something, which I don't see any clinging cards here, but if you're hanging on to an ending, or I'm going to go with the way that you think the world works or the universe works. It's your knowledge that I'm saying you may need to let go of what you think you know. All right. It could be something you've learned from the past, bad habits, relationship values. You may need to let go of that. And you may need to get very serious, very grounded, and get in control of yourself to move forward. Be on the lookout for a chance for a new start. This is the card of a new beginning, and it's a familiar beginning. It's very similar to the Fool card, which is the very first card in the tarot. So I kind of love that on the table I have the ending, then the Chariot, and then a beginning. But this is a familiar beginning. It's not the Fool. It's not as big a risk. You know what you're looking at. The way forward, the landscape is smooth. It's not the rocky cliff from the Fool card. So you're happy to have this new beginning. Again, I want to say I feel with this card, you're not all alone. Now, there is a very strange message embedded in this, and I don't know how many people this will be for, but I am going to go ahead and say it because sometimes when I read, things come in that I don't quite know how to explain other than it's just coming to mind. This honestly looks like there is something about how you thought the world or the universe was that is changing. And in order to be motivated and determined and get it together, there needs to be like this acceptance that you have some help, even if you can't see them. Now you can see the landscape there and there's nobody there. There's no ghosts, there's no nothing there. And yet I still get this vibe here of like spirit, kind of. Like, I don't know if you can expect to have a sign from somebody that you've loved. I don't know. I just get this really magical feeling from this. I don't know if you can see this in this card or not. Above his hat, up here, is a little white dot that reminds me of an orb. So it looks like he's alone out there on that plane. And yet there's the orb. And he's getting ready to start. Only he's going to start this time with knowledge that he's not alone. So this could be literal in that maybe you've lived a life of singlehood. And now, you're getting the reins together in your life. And you're getting more control of your life. And you have other people to consider. So you're going to have to follow the rules more. You're going to have to do things by the book more because you have more people responsible for you. That you're responsible for. Or it could be that your theory around loss and what happens when we die and are we alone? What is heaven? All of that, philosophy and spirituality and religion come into play. And, you may have this thing happen. I don't know, that shows you're not alone. And so it gives you some kind of strength and determination to get it together and know that you're not by yourself in this. It could heal a lot I don't see the healing cards here, but there is a little bit of healing here in the Chariot with those stars. But I like it. It could take you to greater heights by reworking this way that you think. And whether it's with real people in real life, that you're responsible for, or coworkers or something, when you let go of old habits, adopt new ones, and get control with the understanding that you have other people to think about, so you need to be a little more by the book. There's success there, and be looking for these second chances and these places to start again, because I see that coming up. And if you do, don't be afraid, because I don't think you're alone. So that was a weird, interesting message that had a little bit of something else coming in there, and I hope you found it as interesting as I did. Hi, Pisces. Your cards I have pulled for you. The energy to expect toward the end of this month, this year, going into January, is the Ace of Cups. And I really don't know if it gets much better than this. I've had a lot of really good readings today, and it ends with Pisces on a good note also. So yay, yay, yay. As a Pisces, I'm happy to see this. The overwhelming energy I get from this is relief. Now, as I've said before, all of the aces are opportunities. They are being handed to us by some, godlike entity out there, offering up this, in this case, this cup of emotion. What I'm reading here, though, is relief and peace. It is a card of love, so it could be a new opportunity that is of an emotional nature. It could be a friendship. It could be any new work project. It could just be a feeling of like refreshment. I don't know why I'm thinking like that, but as in, I'm thinking of those times when you can just sit down and you have a chance to breathe and have a new experience that feels good, as opposed to something that hasn't. So I'm just noticing that, Dove. It just feels like peace to me. This relief after a time. It could be self-care. This card can come up sometimes as self-care. So be on the lookout for that new opportunity that will feel, just fresh and clean, and just take a big deep breath, because and experience something that feels very like renewal, kind of, even though it's kind of a new opportunity. Thing to let go of that would be helpful is the Judgment card in reverse. And Judgment is kind of exactly what it says. If you have had times when you felt like the world was saying no, or the world was passing a negative judgment, it can really beat down your confidence. If there's a time where you've turned things down, that didn't seem right, or you've kicked yourself for feeling like you missed the boat on something and you've kind of passed judgment on yourself. It's a major arcana, and it's kind of one of the heavy hitter major arcanas. When I say that, because I say that a lot, I guess what I mean by that is stuff that we feel. It's really weighty. When somebody, like, say you apply for a job and you get turned down, it's a no, right? They've passed judgment on your resume. They've passed judgment on you at the interview that, no, you're not a good fit, or you're not our first choice. That can stay with you. That feels heavy. So it's a heavy energy when judgment comes up. And we may feel like we missed out on something, or we could be really hard on ourselves over it, because it can be a card of like missing opportunity in a way. That would come into play as if you notice the angel blasting the trumpet, waking everybody up. Like, this is a big wake up call. Like, it's time for something different, or it's time to heed that call. And when it's a reverse, we could feel like we missed it. Now, I would lean in toward more just whatever energy this is in the past that has been a no in your world, that has felt heavy, that has felt like things were against you, like the world was telling you no. Let that go. Like, it's very near the end of the tarot anyway. That cycle is over. Let go of that heavy energy. And what's on offer is something that feels so much lighter. This is a very light card, and I don't need to explain why it even looks that way, but it's emotionally fulfilling. There's something on offer here that will lift you up. So after a whole bunch of heaviness, say no to that. That's gone. That's over. If somebody passed you over, it's over. There is something new coming that on an emotional front is going to make you feel great if you take it. Now, the thing to watch out for and to embrace is stop waiting. This is a card of having invested in something, planted your seeds, waited, done the work, tended the garden, but it's not going to bear fruit. So it's to let things go. Go ahead and cash out early. Sometimes it's not appropriate for you. For what I see here, it's not going to bear the fruit that you thought it was, or it's not worth it compared to this relief. So be on the lookout for chances to let go of things that are really not going to pan out the way that you thought, that aren't worth the wait. I think you'll be wasting energy on that. For instance, I know, because I am a Pisces, I know where some of this energy is, and I've called judgment myself on a lot of things in this last year, having to do with my work, especially things that I don't want to do anymore, or it didn't pay off the way that I thought it was going to, and it's too much work for the money. It's too much work for my health. It's too much, and I am looking for this. I am looking for things that feel emotionally lighter. I want to lighten the mood, lighten the load, things that make me happier, that kind of thing. So I'm on the lookout for that. And there are a lot of things that, yeah, I've invested quite a bit of time. This guy is like a farmer. He's planted seeds. He's tending his garden. It's too early for him to harvest that crop. So he's waiting patiently for the sun, for the weather to do its job, for nature to take over. And at the right time, he'll reap his harvest. Certain things are never going to come to that point, and we need to be able to recognize when that is and close out that thing. For me, it's projects. I certainly have a lot of things that I've waited for them to kind of take off. I've waited for the right time, and it just hasn't happened. So, this is really appropriate, and I like how this is because I know what this energy means. The Oracle card that came out, this is like the third or fourth time, but it's the higher power card. Again, it's a card 4. It does represent some stability. Higher power is simply understanding that God is at work in our life also, that not everything is under our control. We are simply one small part of a much more complex picture. So that means we don't have to take responsibility for every single thing that happens. And we don't get to take credit for every single thing that happens because we're just one small part. That if there was one card in that deck that speaks to everything happens for a reason, it's this. And it can be trite to say that. And I don't mean to say it in that cavalier way. I mean to say it in a way to take the pressure off, to recognize that even though we got those judgments in the reverse, even though we have projects that aren't going to go anywhere that we invested in, they all led us to right where we're at right now under some kind of plan or some kind of big, cosmic puzzle so that we can experience this. And without those things, without all these no's, without the judgments, we wouldn't be where we are at to be able to experience this. And when you can look at it that way, we can relinquish some control. And it does bring about peace. It's letting go a little bit. And just knowing your place in things. And this is also a card to tap in and find that connection with source, with your inner self, with your soul. And, I don't want to say retreat inward, but we find that by going inward. And so this is a great time for that, to get realigned. And a lot of people use that kind of term, and it makes sense too to me. So, but it is stable, and there is support, and of course it leads to faith and hope and optimism and things like that too. So it's a really nice message. I'm glad to end on this good note, and I hope you found these helpful.